All right, what's up, good people? It's your boys, the Beards of War. You got myself, Thick Nick Fury, my man FBR, Fat Broken Rambo. Hey, Captain Jack behind the one and twos. And hey, shout out to our boy Scorched Earth. We waiting on you, brother. Come on back. All right, so before we get into this show, we want to make you guys aware of something that's very important, I believe, and it's called Vet Sync. And basically, it's a digital VFW for the GWOT generation. Check the link out in the description. It is definitely a good tool to have. It links you with other veterans, and it's something that we need more of, especially now with the things currently going on in this world. So just to kind of get into it, we're in season 3, episode 5, I believe, of Yellowjackets,
That is
and
correct.
this one was called what? Did Tai do that? Family Matters fans out there. Um, Again, our female femme fatales are out there doing what they do. Misty is like playing a new version of Nancy Drew, and they're trying to figure out some things about what's going on with in the current stage with Lottie, and also in the back in the previous timeline. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. A new prophetess, I believe, has been anointed, if we could say that. And I'm not really sure who's in charge. So yeah, how do you want to start this off, Rambo?
For simplicity's sake, and because my TBI will start acting up, I say we streamline it again, and we just go. Let's say let's do modern timeline and then past, because I think the past kind of ended on a banger.
There
So
you go.
yeah, man. So the current timeline's got like Misty. She goes off and IDs. She notifies everyone of the. I'm sorry. She goes off and IDs at the coroner's office. Lottie's body, and basically extorts the mortician or the morgue tech. I'm not sure what they call those folks.
Right.
Basically extorts him. She gets to collect all the personal belongings and like the autopsy photos that she like so
Just swipes off
eloquently
the table.
grabs. He's like, I'll take this shit too. Yeah, man. So she kind of clumps everybody back together. She's got Van Ty and Shauna and briefs him on Lottie's demise, right? And yeah, it just kind of goes from there. Uh, at this point, they all start turning on each other, kind of like when they were back in the wilderness too. It's all accusatory across the tables, like who could have killed Lottie, right?
Right.
And the fingers, of course, start getting pointed right back at Misty, who points them back at Shauna. And before you know it, you've got like the worst surveillance team ever in the history of surveilling folks. Misty takes off, Shauna in her very not
Dodge
necessary
Caravan.
Dodge Caravan, and then in comes like Bo Duke, fucking Elijah Wood doing the fish hook Fast and Furious style with his Mustang with the custom license plate that says not Walter. Um, yeah, freeze frames a motherfucker sometimes. And basically, like Shauna does a provocative maneuver, pulls into an alleyway, and Walter is so quick on the follow that he rear ends her. And then
Right.
they kind of form a team because
Yeah,
that's what we're doing now.
exactly. Makes no
Uh,
sense at all.
Yeah, I don't. I struggle with Walter's motivations at this point. Aside from him wanting to get back in Misty's good graces, and he's kind of using it as an angle to force her into this because he knows it'll kind of snap her out of it and give her something to focus on instead of Natalie's passing. But hey, man, no one's got Lottie's phone, and we're trying to figure out where that's at. So in comes Misty doing her elicitation exercise with the bellman downstairs, and lo and behold, hey, man, Lottie's father is still upstairs in the penthouse where they bought it back in the 70s. And he's not doing so well. So he's got some Alzheimer's and it seems to be a living nurse. And she just, uses that to claim Misty uses that as an excuse to gain entry into the house and to basically poke around trying to find Lottie's phone.
So, right.
But she does find a receipt for, I believe it's a $50,000 withdrawal. It's a bank slip of some sorts, but it had 50,000 written on it, and it looks like a withdrawal notice that was in Lottie's pocket of the jacket, the one specifically that she used to wear in the wilderness too,
Right. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
fur.
Right. So
Yep.
now again, Misty's gaining access. I mean, like a pro, right? You've
Yeah.
already got access to the body. You're not a family member. You got access to the house. I'm like, is there any type of like pushback to the access that they're gaining? And you get to the penthouse, and who's already there? Shauna and Walter posing as what, cable repair people? Like we're still doing cable repair man. Like we're still doing that. And it was just like one of those like, okay, all right, this is gonna be one of those campy episodes, right? That you really can't take seriously, like plot holes, man. We get it. This is how they find out the information. We know it's gonna be a whole bunch of stuff that's not really, feasible. but it pushes the story along, which is what they're trying to do, trying to figure out, how, Walter and can get back in Misty's good graces, and Shauna, that whole relationship is just fractured from the beginning. Like Shauna trusts no one. So that the whole back and forth between Walter and Shauna I thought was actually pretty funny. Um, he's trying to get a strain of hair from her so they can kind of keep tabs on each other to keep
Trade,
each other
yeah,
honest.
trade incriminating evidence. It's like
Exactly.
what?
Yeah, it keeps you honest. Like, okay, I guess that makes sense. And yeah, so they're really just trying to get to the bottom of things, but everyone is, pretty much pointing fingers at each other, even Ty and Van, because Van asked her, like, that hour that you
Yep.
left, where'd you go? So it takes just anything for them to literally start turning on each other. Like, no one trusts each other. And Ty and Van have been in this basically whirlwind romance the entire time, and just that
Yep.
quick, it's like, hey, where were you? Like, it's not even a matter of I wonder who could have done it. It's like they automatically start accusing each other. So that hasn't changed from their time in the wilderness, where it's like, oh, someone burned down a cabin. Coach, it was you because you weren't here and you hate us all. And it's like, is anyone going to do a modicum of research before they start accusing people? And it's just they haven't gained any trust with each other with all that time spent in the wilderness. And it shows now in the current timeline.
Yeah, but I mean, they've done some things to each other too to warrant that lack of trust in the current timeline too. Like, Ty actually started this whole thing by hiring Jessica Roberts to spy and elicit as much information from her teammates as possible in order to get in front of anything that would impact her for the race in the Senate in season one. So I mean, she put a fair amount of this. Now we still have the infamous person that's sending the postcards, right? And we're all in the same thought process that the person sending the postcards is also the one that dropped off the video cassette for Shauna that Callie ended up picking up, which according to the trailer that we'll show at the end of the episode, looks like we're gonna get some answers on what's on the tape potentially in this upcoming episode on Friday. So
Okay.
yeah, yeah, I mean it was a little like the intro. The only thing that kind of like I thought that they did a good job of like duping the father and getting him to kind of like buy whatever bullshit they were selling, and it's an easy mark, right? But like that live-in nurse has got to know some shit's going on, right? Like this one woman claims to be a neighbor and she's just randomly wandering throughout the fucking house, and then she walks by with a bag of trash and notices the two IT techs like yelling at each other, and I'm just like, yeah, any normal person would probably figure out something's not
Right. Something's
not going on.
amiss.
And then, good on it. Misty turns the old man against them and basically says, "Hey, go trace wire outside the house." Um,
Right.
and I can't remember, but Walter was saying that he was basically downloading the phone history from the home network or something along those lines. Like it was
Right.
backed
Yeah.
up.
Right.
That's what I took from that. I don't know if we actually got to that solution. I know that Misty, I don't remember. I think Misty does find the phone.
Right. But I think it's already been wiped. And I think that's why, because Walter already has the information off of it.
That's right. That's right. And
Right.
Walter's
Yeah.
motivation here is just to drag Misty out of her depression
Right.
and kind of get her back in the game. And that's just is not working for her. Like she outright despises Walter at this point. It's just kind of weird that dynamic has shifted. He's been the only rock for poor Misty this entire show, and
Right.
she's casting him aside to side with people that are definitely not her friends.
That's always been her. Like
Yeah.
she's always tried to push those relationships, even with Coach Scott. Like, oh, you're my first boyfriend. He's like, what?
Yep. And we're gonna
Like,
get to that.
no, right? Like what? So like Missy lives in her own little world, right? And I think this is like just the way the girls are acting toward each other. It's like keep your friends close, but your enemies closer, right? So that
Yeah.
might be the reason why they're still
Yep.
connected, because it's like, you know what? I need to keep an eye on you guys because we all have secrets. And in order to make sure those secrets stay secret, I need to keep an eye on you. So that explains why they're still sort of in contact with each other, or they're just naturally drawn to each other because they're the only ones that kind of understand. So it's like one of those love-hate relationships where you need the relationship, but it's also,
Yeah.
detrimental to you.
Like they
So
want that
yeah,
relationship with Misty when it's useful for
convenient.
them.
Right.
Yeah.
When it's convenient for them, it works out for them. They seek Misty out because they know Misty can get the answers. Misty gets not like she's literally jack of all trades. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing I don't believe this woman can do. Like can't do. Like if you want to get into a hack into a government mainframe, Elon, I would call Misty. I would say, hey Misty, handle that for me if you can. You don't need a clearance.
Right. So hey, we got a comment though. Archibald Redrick hit us up. Did we notice that Misty called Lottie's dad a quote card? I don't recall that.
Hmm.
Archibald, if you're still watching, if you could give us a little bit more context to that comment, or question, I should say, might be able to hone us in on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so the present timeline kind of ends on that note, if I remember correctly. I watched it twice, but honestly, the shocker of the episode comes in the past timeline. So uh the past timeline didn't exactly move quick. But by the time we get to the point, we get to the point where Tai draws the King of Hearts. That's the card that they're gonna that will serve as the executioner.
Mhm.
Of note, it is the Suicide King. Um, I don't know if that's foreshadowing or not. Like maybe Coach Scott will unalive himself. Who knows? I mean, by the end of the episode, you kind of don't really blame the guy if that's the way you want to go.
All right.
Um, but yeah, so they finally decide the wilderness is selected that Tai is going to be the one to pull the trigger via execution with the rifle, and yeah, that's a really good scene, man. Where they bag him, and he's like, "No, fuck you. You're gonna look at me when you do this." And then
Hmm.
Dark Tai takes over, and at this moment, actually, and I apologize to the audience. I gotta step back real quick because I can't talk this scene because we didn't talk about uh, Lottie, Akilah, and
Travis.
Travis going back to the mine.
Yep. And this is kind of where it comes to fruition that Akilah is the next prophetess because she had the dream and she's walking on the back of Coach Scott, like an enlarged Coach Scott, and they're like, oh, he's the bridge. So when they come back, it's like, they get into the scene where he's about to be executed or shot by other Ty, which Van is trying to bring out, is trying to find a way to bring out other Ty who
Yeah.
hasn't shown up in months. And apparently fellatio is not the answer, but whatever it was, she she came out at the last second, was ready to pull the trigger. So maybe it's one of those like spider sense thing, like something really has to occur to take her out of herself to do something that she wouldn't normally be able to do.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the last second, man, Travis and Akilah show up with Lottie, and they save Coach Scott from getting that bullet to the head. I mean, it was a good shot too, man. Like as soon as she knocked him down, they're like, nope, Coach is the answer, can't kill him. So I'm like, oh wow, okay, cool, Coach dodged the bullet there. He kind of, literally,
Mhm.
and then yeah, they Shauna and Melissa decide to further maim a one-legged man, which I just thought was diabolical. Yeah,
Oh,
again,
dude, it
cut
was
that
so
Achilles.
brutal,
You don't need
man.
that Achilles. You don't need
Like,
the other leg.
yeah, they straight up like pull his foot up, and I'm like, man, I was like, I thought about it, like, because his hands are bound, but he's got some slack in that. And honestly, the guy's depleted. He's probably starved, sleep deprived, all this shit. He's ready for it to be over, man. And then they just cut that tendon, and they hear him screaming, just like, good God, man, that guy deserves an award just for that. And then, but to do that though, Shauna gave the knife to Melissa and made her an accomplice, basically. Like she's part of the squad now. And
Right.
yeah, man, they share that exchange of power kind of thing, and then they go back to the group, and it's almost like they had given permission to satisfy the thirst for blood by doing this to Coach. And yeah, oh man, it's gonna be brutal. Because
I,
he's not gonna go out in a good way.
interesting observation. And I forgive me. I don't literally dissect the show when I watch it once, and I haven't had a chance to watch it twice.
Sorry.
But this is a little bit of conspiracy theory. Has anyone else acknowledged Melissa besides Shauna?
Yes.
Okay, so
Um, yeah, it's Jen. So Jen and Melissa have like a kindred like friendship because they were like the JV of the team in season two. So
okay,
there's tons of back and forth between the two of them.
okay, cool. Because I'm like, well, why is she making Melissa like? Why is Melissa all of a sudden her henchman? I'm thinking, is she like a figment? Like, okay, this is my alter ego type thing. But okay, that dispels that. All right, so
I
yeah,
think
I
it's
missed that.
I think Melissa is infatuated with Shauna, and Shauna is manipulating her to get somebody on her side.
Right.
I think it's a
Okay. Yeah.
power grab for Shauna. I don't think she sees it in any other way.
Yeah. And she definitely is trying to take over.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
For
Yep,
sure.
absolutely.
Yeah. For sure.
And
Okay.
yeah, so Archibald got back to this. It's when she's talking, when she's first talking, I'm assuming Misty is first talking to Lottie's dad, trying to gain entry into the house. When he doesn't recognize her as the neighbor, he says, "Oh, insert Lottie's dad's name. You're such a card." Huh.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe that was indicative of Lottie's use of the cards. Maybe there's a connection there. That's
Maybe.
interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. Because,
Maybe he's the Joker.
right.
All right, it's time to check notes, I suspect. Because that pretty much wraps up the episode as far as I can recall.
Right. Yeah. There wasn't much. He didn't touch his fish, by the way. Coach Scott had a nice little fish dinner. I mean, he didn't take a bite of it. I guess, if you're gonna
Right?
die, who cares about fish? He's a vegan, isn't he a vegan? But vegans, do they eat fish? I don't know. I'm sorry. Um, my apologies to the vegans. If you don't eat fish, it's not intentional. I don't know. I'm not familiar with that.
Oh,
None.
snap, Jack.
Thank you, sir. Look at that. That's why we have him, man. He's got Google at his fingertips, but I think that was up here. All right.
Yeah, I guess the only thing that we left out was that Van and Ty actually go to the park so that Ty can see Sammy, her son,
Right.
and Van and Simone kind of have like a awkward exchange. Something happens between Sammy and Ty, and Sammy runs back to Simone, and they get up and leave. So
Right.
I'm sure that's not the end of that situation. I don't think Simone's got long to last in the show. I think she's going to
Mm.
be a problem for Ty, and Ty's alter ego is probably going to take care of that
Eliminate. Yeah.
loose end, so to speak.
Yeah. Because Simone did kind of look at Vanna like, oh, so you're the other woman. Or you're
Yeah,
her. Yeah. Like something like that. Like, ooh, that's
yeah,
not good.
I know,
Like,
right?
that's kind of bold for her to sit right next to her. I'll be honest. I'm like, wow,
Yeah,
that's pretty
kind of.
bold.
It's a tense situation. I'm not sure you'd walk up on that like that, but hey, man,
Right.
whatever. Uh, yeah. So I don't know, man. You want to kick it off and check out the trailer for next week's episode?
Yeah, man. Let's see what we got coming up, man. I need
Someone left
answers.
this for you. Maybe whoever sent it had something to do with what happened to Lottie.
Oh, you think?
You sentenced me to death. You need to keep that promise.
What is it?
It's just some biological material collected from under the fingernails of a dead woman.
What?
He can't die. He's our bridge home.
Coach is trying to bite it. He's trying to bite it at this point.
That
Like,
end scene is gonna
what
be
does he have to
something
live
huge.
for? Yeah, what does he have
Right?
to live for? Yeah,
So I
especially if
mean,
you don't see help coming. Like, I'm pretty sure they've probably all reserved themselves to, we're gonna die out here, or like I don't think rescue is in anyone's mind at this point. So Coach Scott's like, yeah, man, might as well end this. Like, I had lost one leg, then you disabled my other one. So like, what am I really doing? You know?
yeah, there's still plenty floating around too, man. Like I gotta believe the caches are gonna come back into play. Yeah, I think the initials were KUH on those. We have no idea still about Cabin Daddy. Cabin Daddy, as the Phantom calls him. I don't know that. I don't believe that those caches are his. I still think there's somebody else. I think Javi met a real person, and I think Coach was talking to a real person in the caves.
Mm,
And that scene at the end of the trailer, though, when they all kind of like stop and turn and look, I feel like that's going to be something significant and not just like the new Antler Queen donning, the accoutrements there. I think it's going to be something like impactful, and I think it's going to be that person, whoever is emerging finally. And then
okay, yeah.
current timeline, I think Walter is more than a convenient boyfriend for Misty. I think he is connected to this much deeper. I think he's the inside man that got in to get intel on the Yellowjackets directly, and I think he's feeding it back to whoever's on the other end of that videotape. And I think they're working in unison. I think he's like a sibling to someone, or he has a familial connection there. And
Okay.
because I don't think Hillary Swank just being Melissa is enough, because they've kind of led up to it being something significant. Like they've hit her in the shadows in a couple episodes, and I'm assuming that's her, because it could be somebody completely fucking different. But I think we're gonna get like almost like a double twist. It's like a fake out or a red herring that Hillary Swank is Melissa and she's been operating in the shadows, but I think she's been connected to somebody else. And I
Yeah, that
think
makes sense because I'm pretty sure
Walter
some
is
of those
somebody.
girls had siblings back home, right? Like we haven't really discussed any of that. Like the family members that were left behind
Right.
in the wake of their, them going missing. So yeah, they could have that could be an end, like you said, that the Walter being the brother of maybe one of these ladies or something like that. So yeah, there's a lot that could happen. That's why we like conspiracy theories, right? So
Yeah, man.
anything can transpire, man. Walter, like I said, and like you're saying, I think he has other motivations,
I do.
other than just like helping Misty break out of her rut or whatever. And Misty is like once she's on something, man, she's on it, and she's gonna try to figure out who killed Lottie and what the purpose was, and I have all the faith that Misty's gonna get to the bottom of it. So yeah.
Yep. Number one citizen detective.
Oh, and on a side note, Christina Ricci, who plays Misty, got her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
That's awesome. Long overdue too.
Nice, nice, well
Yeah.
done, well deserved. That's awesome, and I
Yeah,
think
but I
the
think
cast was there with her when she got it.
I think we're going to come down to whenever Melissa emerges from the shadows, because I'm sticking with the Melissa thing. I think her and Shauna are going to have like they're going to duke it out. I think Melissa's kind of like a single white female, and a throwback to like a 91 Bridget Fonda movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's been pulling the strings for revenge the whole time. And I think Shauna is going to end up being the overall villain of the show.
I believe it. She's
Yeah,
living
man.
she's the one the closest to living a normal lifestyle with the wife, the husband and the kid. And oh no,
Yeah.
you're not. This is not the Shauna that was in the wilderness. And
Mm.
you don't get to just do this after all the crazy stuff you're doing over there. So yeah, and I can see Melissa like kind of being that one that kind of felt slighted. They had this whole
Yeah.
relationship over there. And now all of a sudden you come back home and it's back to family, and Melissa's just kind of thrown to the wayside. So
Yeah. She goes right
another
back to Jeff.
conspiracy theory. There you go. So
Yeah, man. So
ah.
that's where I'm at for this week. So
Yeah, good one, man. Good episode. Again, you guys, please let us know what you think. And to the individual that chimed in, we appreciate it, man. We want more of that, more interaction with you guys.
absolutely.
If there's a show that you guys feel that's coming up that you'd like maybe us to do a review on, we're open to it. We try to find different things to watch. Like we watch From, we're now in the Yellowjackets, The Boys, Fallout. So we got
Yeah.
all these things kind of coming down the pike. We're waiting for the new seasons to come out. So we enjoy doing this, man. We enjoy interacting with you guys, and if you guys are fans of those shows, we encourage you to jump on with us and voice how you feel about it. This is a place for veterans, but not just veterans. So we definitely appreciate you guys for coming out and watching this, spending time with us, and we enjoy doing what we do.
Even you, Space Force. But yeah, hey guys, make sure you come back tomorrow because we're doing a review of Dodgeball. We don't do a whole lot of comedies around here, but Dodgeball is near and dear to our hearts. And especially if you're a GWOT guy, or gal, you've had plenty of exposure to deployment flicks, and Dodgeball is absolutely one of them. So yeah, man, tune in tomorrow. We're gonna cover Vince Vaughn and Ben Stiller like nobody else has.
Yeah.
Yeah, Broken Rambo out here.
Big Nick Fury out.